welcome to our marketing webinar with ITA. I've done a lot of marketing webinars on how to market, a company and marketing of space industry. So I thought it would be a good change of pace, and this time have a country on to talk about how to, Italy is marketing their country to the space industry. So our two guests, and I'm going to butcher both of their last names, hopefully I'll get it right, is Salvatore Grignano and Giulia Salmaso. But I'll turn it over to Sal first, and he can give his introduction and how to properly say his last name, and then I'll turn it over to Giulia, who can also tell us how to properly say her last name. So over to you, Sal.
All right. Thank you so much for giving the chance to be here. My name is close enough to your pronunciation, is Salvatore Grignano, and I'm the Marketing and Promotion Officer of the Italian Trade Agency of Houston.
All right. And regarding me, Ari, you get it right. It's Giulia Salmaso. Yeah, you did it. Spot on the first time. So they usually mess up my first name, actually, because it's spelled differently. I mean, it's spelled the same way, but kind of differently written. And I'm a Marketing and Promotion Officer at the Italian Trade Agency Houston location, which is one of the 5 locations of the ITA in the United States.
Fantastic. So I think to start the conversation off, and Sal, I'll start with you. Can you share with me, what is the purpose of ITA? Why did Italy set this up, and what is its role in space specifically as it relates to Italy?
So the agency, first of all, we are a government agency. So we are government funded, Italian taxpayers. So we receive our paycheck from Rome. And our goal as promotion officer, the goal of the agency is to promote Italian businesses abroad and help Italian businesses to do business in other country. We have been around for 100 years. And we have 70 offices around the world. So we cover pretty much each corner of the globe. We specifically, we work at the Houston office. We have 5 offices in the US. New York is the major hub. Then we have Chicago, Los Angeles, Miami, and Houston. We take care of the space sector. So each office in the US has some sectors they are specialized in because we are not Google. We don't know about everything in every market. So don't ask me how to sell bioproducts or chemicals because I don't know. I might tell you how to sell wine because this part of our culture is in our blood, but for the rest, we don't know everything. So we're specialized in space. But space is a new sector for ITA. Historically, as you know, space has always been agency with agency, NASA with the Italian Space Agency working on exploration and everything. And then there was defense. So you have the DoD involved, all the military, they work around specific plan to defense. Then let's say 10 years ago, when the commercial part of space started to become more and more relevant, the Italian government decided to bring us in. So at this point is business talking with business about space. We need to have the muscle and the knowledge of the ITA to promote and connect businesses with businesses. So we started a few years ago. We might surprise because I started working in this sector in 2016. Even if Italy has been around and worked in space for many years in different projects with NASA and everything, a lot of people didn't know that Italy was involved in space. They have no clue of what Italy has done, what Italy had to offer, and why we were even there talking about space when we supposed to talk about food and culture and other stuff. So it has been very challenging, but on the other side, we have been grown as much as the industry is growing. So that's a fantastic place to be right now.
Fantastic. And Giulia, for you, my question is, so can you talk about, why companies either do business in Italy, or, what some of the success stories are and case studies, and sort of what that pitch is to companies to, engage with ITA, so that, it makes sense to work with them. So I know that's a big question, but
it is, and yeah, sure, it is. It's not a simple answer. It could be very, very complicated. I'll try to make it simple. So, who actually talks to us? What kind of company? What is the persona? It's a small company, so the ones that needs help to understand what does it mean to be internationalized. Okay, so this is the identikit of the companies that we usually help. With small company doesn't mean that it's not capable or they do not have ingenuity. As a matter of fact, it's rather the contrary. So we got tons and tons of Italian, Latin ingenuity that needs to be marketed. And I must admit this, we are very, very good as Italians, very, very good in inventing things. I think we got at least 3,000 years of history about doing that. But we have a very, very recent history and understanding in what it means to market that. So there's a lack of abilities in doing that. This is when we when we jump in. And so the first thing that we do is try to make them understand the market and understand how to communicate, which is not easy. It's very easy if you have to promote tissue spaghetti, meatballs, but when you have a rocket, a propulsion system, this is way more complicated. So usually, sorry if I'm using this term, so usually nerds try to communicate in their nerd way, but sometimes if you have to sell your propulsion system, it's better for you to, concentrate in numbers and business forecast and again, analysis and also, marketing plans, editorial line of, communication. So this is what we do. We try to provide this kind of backup knowledge, being not exact. At least I talk personally, be not an engineer or being not having not a background in engineering or STEM. I'm a former journalist. Video journalist, so this is my contribution to the team, and this is what we do. So they put together a team, the market team of ITA Houston. So we have an engineer that is Salvatore, and a journalist that is me. So I think it's a good combination of helping out companies. I don't know what do you see in your own experience, Ari? Have you ever had this kind of combination for a marketing team, journalists and engineering?
It's funny. I've been doing these webinars, and this is like my 6th or 7th. I think you're the first person to ever ask me a question on the webinar. No, I think it's good if you're in a technical product to have someone who can market it and someone who's an engineer. I always talk about how a lot of space companies need more marketing help. We're so focused on, I wouldn't say nerdy things, but in your words, nerdy things, that we forget that sometimes you need to explain it in simple terms, especially when you're not selling, especially when you're a space company selling to non-space people. So if you're in satellite imaging, and you're selling to an end user that is not a space person, they don't really care that it came from space, or, even things as simple as direct TV, right? Which is, satellite TV. People don't care that it's satellite. They just want their TV to work. So, I think the industry sometimes forgets that, but, Salvatore, maybe can you talk about like specific examples of like space companies that have come over, or specific, maybe case studies that you share with companies? Something that's been successful for y'all. Is there anything you guys can share with that?
Sure. I mean, we have different cases that we can talk about it. And again, like you said, space is a very broad term. So you can do space and you do like data analysis coming from satellite, as well as manufacturing with 3D printing and so on. So there's a little bit of everything. We have a couple of example that I would like to bring up. One is that related to 3D printing, right? And we have two companies now here in Texas. They are from Italy, and they have been doing very great things in Italy, and now they're doing one has been doing well in US as well, which is Robose. They moved here in 2019. And the second company is Caracol, that they just opened in Austin last week, like 10 days ago. They just kick off the new location in Austin. They're both on 3D printing, two different style, and they both landed in Texas. And they've been working with us for several years. So in both cases, those two companies reach out to ITA in order to understand the market, to understand where they need to go, to understand who should they work with, and so on. So all the basic information that you need every time you want to approach a new market where you don't know a lot about it. And they have been with us in trade show as well. I mean, they've been with us at Spacecom, they've been with us at Space Tech, and other trade shows. So they have the chance to participate in our marketing efforts. After they have gained the knowledge, they finally realized there was the moment, to start their adventure and position themselves on the US market with a branch here. We were lucky enough to have Robose here in Houston, so they are exactly in our backyard, and we go see them every time we have the chance. But Caracol decided to end up in Austin. They're going to do great because it's a great company. I'm pretty sure they're going to do a fantastic job here in the United States. So this is a very easy path that we can show everybody. That starts with asking questions about marketing intelligence and everything, getting some help on market yourself so that you can come here. And maybe the first part of the marketing activity is not related to selling right away, but it's to find the right partner, to find the right location, to find the right people for you, and then finally make the step and decide to get over here in the United States. So these are two examples that I would like to highlight.
Yeah, can I add sorry, Ari, if I take the mic, can I add a third example? So we are right now helping a company called T4I. They do actually propulsion system for small satellite and deployers. And they started with us, not with that kind of consultancy, but they asked for, we met them first time, I think 4 years ago, way before COVID. They didn't actually know how to attend a space conference in the United States. They were quite unsure about that. So we helped them out. It was the IAC. It wasn't in the one in Washington. Yeah, and we met them for the first time, and they was unsure what should I concentrate on when I have to communicate first in the United States. We helped them out, we met them, and yeah, it was nice. And now they grow so much that are here in Houston right now in an acceleration program, try to actually open up a facility here. So 4 years after, they decided to come to Texas, and I think it should be Texas, it should be Houston. I think they're seems pretty convinced to open up a facility right here. and that's it. So I think it's a success because in a way they decided that the United States, after all, it's the place they want to be.
So, Giulia, as a follow-up question, how much of your work is helping Italian companies enter the US versus helping, like, do you guys also help like American companies enter Italy? Like, do you guys
Gotcha.
like
Yeah.
how much? Yeah.
Actually, it's a two ways job. Okay. But of course, being us, the Italian government, we tend to help 80% of the time Italian companies. But sometimes US companies ask for our help, but their help is not related to marketing. Usually it's to have them scouting in Italy. Okay. I don't think it's, well, it could be marketing related, but not really, to be honest. So they call us to help them to understand the best manufacturer and, you know, maybe to have a shortcut to Italy to better understand the market. This is how it works. By the way, United States has a twin office, exactly like the Italian trade that is work the other way around. Maybe not all of you knows it. You have the ITA as well, is International Trade Agency, run by the US, and you've got actually two offices in Italy if you wanted to contact them that will help you market your product in Italy.
Got it. I did not know that. That is news to me. So question from the chat, and I'll ask this to Salvatore. So we talked a lot about companies. Somebody asked, what about like individual jobs? Does ITA help, market and promote jobs in like the Italian space sector to non-Italians and sort of, help, I guess, both ways around? Do they help Italians find jobs in the US for the space industry? And then do they help, Americans find job at Italian space companies?
That is a tricky question. So if we talk about in terms of marketing and everything, I would say no. But we do provide as a service support to Italian companies. They are looking for people here in the US. So let's say you're a space company, right, and is looking to open up a location here in Washington, D.C. It's not unusual for them to reach out to us and say, hey, I'm looking for a manager. I'm looking for people that work in this sector, business developer, engineer, and everything. Can help us out? Do you have any contact? Do you have any people? So we help them. But that is like a case by case kind of situation. So we get activated by the specific request. We don't come out like, hey, come work for the Italian companies, click on this link, LinkedIn, to apply for jobs. And then that is not our target.
Everybody wants to go to Italy.
Well, like, oh yeah, let's go work in Milan. Contact me right now and we arrange the trip for you. No, it doesn't work that way. I'm sorry. But we help connect people all the time. And let me say this, if you are a professional, somebody works in this business and you are open to work or provide services to Italian companies, we have a database where we keep all this name in. And every time I have a company that comes over and say, hey, I'm looking for an engineer. Do you have anybody? I can send your name with the rest of the names we send to them. Of course, rarely they come to me with a specific request for an engineer. Most of the time is like on the business side, some sort of business development kind of guy, or the guy who can run their business here and so on. So this most of the time the kind of person they're looking for, because when you want to open a branch in the United States, you need to hire locally. You need to hire people that know the culture, they know how to do business here and so on. So if you're listening and you want to jump in a new adventure with some Italian companies in the US, feel free to reach out to us.
So Giulia, as you know, my next question, we've talked a lot about like what you guys do and stuff. Can you talk more about like how you do it? Like, you know, do you guys market? Do you go to conferences? Do you guys sponsor things? Can you sort of talk about like how ITA gets its name out there?
Yeah, so well, multi-channel technique, of course. Well, so of course, attending in-person events. You mentioned conferences is always the king. Okay, because I mean, in person is always the best way to communicate. We run newsletter. We do advertising campaign. That is why there is one going on since 2022 that has a pretty clear payoff. And that is, there's a lot of space in Italy because this is our, hey, come on, let's face it, this is our, this is what we need to communicate, that to raise awareness about what we do and our role in a global level as an aerospace nation. Well, I mentioned newsletters, so I mentioned the digital channels. I mentioned, you know, interview like yours. We use some, you know, maybe high profile email blast contacting directly association like, I don't know, Space Foundation, Aviation Week, aerospace manufacturer, you know, the magazine, space news, web banners, landing pages, whatever could actually work. So this is how we operate. So digital marketing connected to the in-person attendance to trade show.
So, you know, Salvatore, as I guess a follow-up question to that, you know, how do you all measure the success of these types of campaigns? Is it, you know, is it more brand, or do you have like KPIs, like literally like, hey, here's how many Italian companies have come to the US and, you know, created jobs or something? How do you guys think about that, Salvatore?
Well, it depends on the kind of activity we're talking about. Let's say a trade show, for example, which I love being in trade shows in general because I truly believe that in the power of presence, you got to be where the industry is. In that case, the way we measure it is just the feedback that we got from our companies and how many reboot how many company we get on the other edition. So, for example, if we attend SpaceCom this year and we got 10 companies because we have 10 spots, I can feed any more companies my booth. I'm already sold out. And next year, I got 15 companies applying for it, and 70% of the one from last year coming back. There's a pretty strong feedback that the show went pretty well. So these are we measure in that case. For the digital activities or the other regular activities, of course, we measure with KPI as, you know, in terms of the number of followers, the numbers of interaction, click-through rate, and all the other marketing numbers that you can have to measure the success of your campaign. We do not, and it is very hard for us to track, is the amount of business that come directly from those activities. The reason why is the companies are not required to disclose to us if they come to a trade show and they sell a piece of machinery and for how much they sell it. So I don't know. So and that is the information I'm missing. What I'm looking for is, hey, did you like the product? Did you like to come to this show? And if you come back and if you bring other people, that means the show was valid, our job was valid, and you met the right people at the show, and you got a good return of your investment in. And we're talking about investment in money and time, of course.
Got it. So, Giulia, follow-up question from the audience, but can you talk about Italy's like space plans, and does ITA like help coordinate, Italy's like space strategy? Is it separate? And I guess just talk about some of the things, Italy is doing in the space industry.
Sorry, let me. So the Italian Trade Agency is not directly involved in the space activity. We promote the space activity. This is just to be totally clear. We wish we were, informed rightful what the space agency and the ESA is doing, but we don't. So this is what we do. We communicate. We try to sell and to promote a country, which is quite difficult to do because when you don't have a specific things to communicate can be a little bit tricky. Right now, of course, Artemis is the thing for Italy, and of course the race to the moon and to Mars. Let's say that Italy is basically involved in 80% of the project out there. Not to mention that we, as a space agency, are the only one that has a bilateral agreement with the Johnson Space Center here in Houston. So we are basically working together 100% in all the steps that NASA is doing in terms of project and exploration. So I don't know if that could answer, or if you want a list of project that is going to be at no end, from Earth observation to lunar module to the ISS to the contribution to what we have recently, an astronaut that actually, an Italian astronaut that coordinated the ISS. It was a female, by the way, Samantha Cristoforetti. So from human flight, human manning. So I could mention really everything. But unfortunately, as I told you, as ITA, we don't have we cannot actually control. We just communicate. We just promote. This is what we do.
Sorry, meant to ask a question and then start coughing. So, Salvatore, can you talk about, I guess, like some of both the benefits and drawbacks like of being a government agency? What are ways in which like this is an advantage as it comes to marketing, and then what are some of the ways this is a disadvantage as it comes to marketing?
So I think if you got asked the disadvantage, Giulia has a book about it. Maybe she can send you the book. I will focus on the advantage. No, I'm just kidding.
Giulia, you can answer the disadvantage if you want.
Then I let Salvatore talk. Is the one that I actually mentioned and maybe has triggered your question. So sometimes most of the time we are asked to promote and to market nothing in particular, just a country. And marketing wise, the most detail is a product. Let's go it that way. The better is the communication, and sometimes we got just generic idea of what we should do, and this is the problem. This is the drawback. Okay, Salvatore, go with the positive aspect.
On the other aspect of this, there is the fact that we do have budget available to do activities, and we do have the possibility to try and fail a little more than companies usually do. So since, like Giulia said, we don't have sometimes a specific message, and sometimes we don't even have control of the message because it gets pre-designed by our Rome agency. I mean, let's think about it. We had a pretty successful campaign of what is called Be Italian, and it was a very cool national branding campaign. So at that point, we have no control on this. We just execute that part, and we put the brand and everything. We do it. We share the videos and all the stuff that gets prepared. But on the other side, like there is a lot of space in Italy. You know, they tell us to promote the space. They give us the budget. And when I say we, I mean me, Giulia, and even with Patrick back then, it was helping us out. We come up with this campaign. We ask for the money, and it has been successful so far. But sometimes companies don't have the privilege. But being an agency and having let me pass the term, like a limited pocket, because you know you don't have to balance your sheets like in terms like, okay, I gotta still be profitable. We don't have any profit. We just want to be sure we spend the money in the best way possible, reaching the vast audience that we can reach. You have the chance to try stuff. And sometimes with companies, especially if you're on the small, medium companies, you don't have the privilege. Now, if you're Budweiser, sometimes you get to adventure and other stuff, but you still pay the price for your marketing activity. In our case, we are not that adventurous. So you have even some guidelines you got to stay into it. So it's not like we can wake up in the morning with Giulia and have the freedom to use any kind of testimonial we want, any kind of message we want. We do have the possibility to be creative. We do have the possibility to try stuff, but on the other side, on the limitation side, we don't have 360-degree freedom. We still have some guidelines. We gotta be into it. And I'll pass to Giulia because I'm pretty sure she want to add something else on the restriction part. Maybe, I don't know.
Oh, actually, I was about to add some silver lining in promoting a country whose name is Italy. So far, because of maybe a different aspect, not aerospace connected, but we do have quite a good name. So it's not that difficult to pass on the message that we're doing something that is worthy. So I think this is a silver. So we got a good reputation, or at least being in front of an Italians always raise some curiosity, at least. And it's comfortable, I think, and this is something that I do appreciate of my job. It's not a direct message; it's something that you have to read behind the lines. But usually being Italian and promote something that comes from Italy is always well accepted, and I think it's a good thing.
It's an easy sell in some case. Let's put it this way. For because you like the wine, because you like the food, because you've been there, because you get engaged with Italy in Italy or whatever.
Exactly. Sometimes we can play with the cliche we are a victim of. Okay, and so this is good. If you're smart enough to play with that cliche of communication, it helps you out in terms of marketing.
Got it. And by the way, guys, if y'all have questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the chat or put them in the Q&A. But so Giulia, why do Italian companies want to come to the US? I feel like I kind of probably know the answer, but I guess from the Italian point of view, I'm just would love to hear your perspective on why are companies looking to expand here? Is especially in space, is most of the focus, are they looking to expand to the US, or do you have competition within ITA for maybe other I don't know, country groups saying oh, you should come to Canada, or you should go to China or something like that? How do you are you pitching them? Are they coming to you and saying hey, we want to go to America? How does that work?
No, Ari, come on. United States can sells without without any help from us. The answer is very simple. It's the American dream. It is it. Okay. This is still the United States from an Italian perspective, from a European perspective. America, this is how we call it. America is America. They all wanted to come here. Even if you come, and of course, when you talk to Americans, say, "Hey, you really like to go to Italy," but when you talk to an Italian, they all, even an entrepreneur with even high level entrepreneurs, United States are still the goal. And this is my first answer. The second answer is Mr. Elon Musk. For some reason, his activity is raising a lot of curiosity, and they lately, I mean, so he is awakening some wanting to come back here, even with more power, with more fury, and this is why United States are still very, very competitive and raise attention from the Italian point of view. I don't know if you want a more economic marketing complex answer, but this is the truth actually. First, because America is still America. Second one, because Elon Musk is doing something that is raising attention toward this country, not other country. No, it's not Canada. It's not Central America. It's United States.
Got it. So, quick follow up for you. Someone asked in the chat, where are most of the companies in Italy based? Like what city in Italy?
Well, I won't go by city. I will go by industry. Of course, a space industry has different areas where they are located. The one of the big clusters around Turin area on the northeast of Italy, northwest, sorry. And then there's a big cluster in Milan, a big cluster around Roma area, and Naples as well. The north part of Italy in general is more industrialized. So most of the manufacturing it gets done in what we call Pianura Padana. So it just all the area that goes right below the Alps. And it covered from Turin one side all the way to Venice on the other side, including even Emilia-Romagna area, which is like the Motor Valley of Italy, where all Ferrari, Lamborghini, Ducati, all those big brands come from. So to answer the question, if you look for manufacturing and engineering, definitely the north part of Italy has a lot to say. And then, of course, there is the other businesses we're involved in, fashion, jewelry, and so on. So, and there are districts around in Tuscany, there are districts around different area of Italy. And then food. I mean, if you look about olive oil, for example, all those out of Italy is a big oil producer and pasta producers and everything. So it depends what kind of industry you're looking at. Technologically speaking, manufacturing related to technology, I think north of Italy is the one that gets the biggest part.
So next question, and I'll break it up. One for Giulia, one for Sal. So Giulia, you get the choice of which one you want to answer. I want to ask, what do Italian companies think are the advantages of working in the US, and then what are the drawbacks? So I guess the advantages compared to Italy, and then the drawbacks compared to Italy. So which one do you want to answer? And then Sal can choose the other, and Sal gets the other one.
Oh, I'll go with the silver lining, because Sal always accuses me of being, the pessimist of the situation. The positive aspect is very, very simple. It's easy in terms of bureaucracy. Once you succeeded in coming to the United States, it's very, very easy. The bureaucracy is basically non-existent compared to Italy, and this is a great relief for the average entrepreneurs. This is something that it's difficult to find in Italy. And usually the government, the ecosystem is helping you. In Italy, it's not like that. It's full of obstacles always, in terms of bureaucracy, I'm saying, not in terms of ecosystem. But here, it's like everyone, every single player of the ecosystem is rooting for you, and this is different from Italy.
Got it. And then Sal, you get to say what are the drawbacks of working in the United States?
Well, I think the drawback is the approach you have on the culture between the two, the different cultures you have. I'll give you two examples. They're the one that really can make the difference. One here, the approach you have when you work is more structured. People are used to, come to work. They tell you what to do. This is your activities. This is what you need to do. You do A to B, B to C, and that's it. This is my job. This is what I do, and this is what I'm doing. The Italians are used to work like, I don't want to say all hands on deck, but everybody, there is flexibility. I don't have to tell you exactly what to do on a specific case. So you're doing this, but you help on this also, and you work on the other thing. And give you a practical example. You can have a restaurant in Italy where you have 3 people running the entire restaurant. The same guy take the order, the same guy make you the bill, the same guy serve you at the table, and he clean the table when you're done. Here you have one guy that sits you down, one guy that just serve you the food, one guy that just bust the table and clean the table, and who brings you the check. So everything is structured. So Italians are always more flexible and open to jump from one thing to another. That doesn't work with the US. Like the culture is more like, okay, I'm taking care of this, I'm doing this, you do your part, we work together, we move forward. So there's a big difference between one thing and another. And the other big difference is the assumption the Italians have of the stability of that person in that position. In Italy, it's no rare that you have people that start working with a company and they stay with the company the entire life, like without even thinking about moving. Here, there's a bunch of opportunities. This is the land of opportunities, and people are always here ready to jump in a new opportunity if that brings you more money, more perspective of career, more benefit, whatever it is that drives you in the change. People are ready to embrace the new adventure. Italy are more like, I want to stay here, where my house is, where my friends are, and stay here. So when they come here, they think, okay, well, I'm going to hire 10 people, and that's it. We're going to start this adventure for the next 10 years. We're going to be the team in the US. And they start realizing that 6 months later, Giulia is accepting another position to the guys across the street because he offered him more money, more benefit, a better position. And so, what the heck? I would treat you well. I was paying you well. But and that really what the difference in culture is. Understanding that the approach that people have in the work environment is different, that you are ready to take opportunities here. And in Italy, we're way more laid back when you start working with company. If a company treats you well, you are in your place, your family is close by, rarely you're going to adventure yourself on finding a better place.
So next question that I have both of you want to answer, on an individual level, what is, we'll start with you, Giulia. What's like your favorite thing about the US? And what's something, I guess, what do you miss about Italy?
What I miss is very simple. It's still my home country and part of my family is still there. So friends, affections. So this is what I miss. And the other thing is that I coming here to the United States, everything is simpler. So life is easier. Trust me, it's so comfortable to live here. And you can park wherever you want without being concerned about a parking lot or a parking spot. You can access everything 24 hours. Yeah, you don't know what it means. You have to actually schedule your week to do the grocery shopping, because Monday afternoon it's closing for weekly regulation or something. Sunday closes because Sunday is Sunday. Saturday is just half day and whatever. So it's a kind of obstacle run just doing the grocery stop in Italy. Here there is not this kind of problem. And this was just a funny example about how your daily life could be in Italy. Here, no, everything is comfortable, easy, approachable. And maybe because I had the luck to live in Texas, I consider it a luck. It's a lot of beautiful persons, really kind at heart, very, very easy to speak to. So yeah, I even appreciate people around me, and this kind of Southern culture, I really appreciate. So this maybe made it easier for me to establish here. I don't know if I would be in some other places in the United States. I don't know, but here it's been simple, thanks to the people as well.
So, Sal, what about you? What's your favorite thing, and what do you miss about Italy?
Well, what I miss about Italy is probably, and this is definitely my case, the fact that you don't have to explain yourself and everything in the way you do stuff. When you go back to Italy and you are with people in the same culture and everything, and you don't look like the weird Italian doing weird Italian things. Let's put it this way, because we are all a bunch of weird Italians talking like this and doing our stuff. So I don't have to, my daughter doesn't think that I'm so embarrassing there as much as I am here, because, I move my hands and I act like an Italian. But on the other side, I pick United States. I mean, when we finished college with my wife, she's half Italian, half American. We came here to Texas. She has family here. I have visited Texas a couple of times already, and I really love the United States. I mean, I grew up with, like what Giulia said, the American dream. I mean, I was 12. I was watching the NBA. I was a big Michael Jordan fan. I had this T-shirt, watching NBA games, and dreaming about go see the NBA games. And now I get the chance to see the Rockets here in Houston, which last year wasn't that good, but it's still a good show. It's still a good game. I'm still not into baseball, even if it's a big thing here in Houston because of the Astros and everything. But that was my dream. So in some cases, I was already drawn in to United States because of this. I feel like I made it where I wanted to be when I was a kid. Come see some of the stuff that I was dreaming about back then. But my wife liked to say that now that I have both passport, I'm broken like her. This is how we like to say we're broken, because every time you're in Italy, you're going to miss something about United States. And every time you're in the United States, you're going to miss something about Italy. No matter what you do, no matter where you are, you're still going to miss something else. So this is why I love this job also. I work with the United States. I also work with Italy. So I can compensate my brokenness, I guess, the fact that I'm broken with this. I work with both sides of with both countries, and I feel comfortable on both sides. So it's a good spot to be in.
So, as we wrap things up, anything y'all want to add before we end the webinar?
Yes, remember that there's a lot of space in Italy. Am I a good marketer? There's a lot just remember that.
Well, I want to closing just first. I want to thank you for this chatting. It was a great way to talk about us, talk about what we do, and what it means to be in this kind of job. But I would like to, tell everybody to look out for what we're doing. And then if you're interested in connecting with the Italian businesses in space, we have a LinkedIn page. We're going to be around the United States, like starting in January, between all the trade shows and everything. So every time you see a big Italia sign and there's an Italian pavilion, there is the ITA behind it. Doesn't matter what kind of industry you're in. If there is an Italian pavilion, ITA is behind it. Stop by, go talk with us or with our coworkers. We'll be more than happy to connect with you guys.
And the coffee is always on us. So
coffee on us.
I put Salvatore's and Giulia's LinkedIn in the chat. Well, thanks everyone for joining, and I'm going to post this on YouTube as well for those who want to watch the recording. Thanks again. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Bye.